In 2019, our family, I am Sarah, name changed. My husband, Mark, name changed. And our young daughter Lily, name changed. Decided to buy an old house in the suburbs of Fairfax, Virginia. The house wasn't too big. Had a fairly typical 70s architecture. Needed a bit of renovation but had a pleasant exterior and a large yard for Buddy, name change. Our friendly and energetic golden retriever. To run around. Buddy was an indispensable part of the family. He was a cheerful, loyal dog, and Lily's great companion. He quickly adapted to the new house, eagerly exploring every corner and spending hours chasing butterflies in the garden. A few weeks after moving in, things started to change. Buddy, the usually cheerful dog, suddenly started exhibiting very strange behavior. The first time was in the evening, when we were sitting together in the living room. Buddy was curled up near the fireplace, when he suddenly lifted his head, ears perked, staring intently at a specific empty corner of the room. His tail stopped wagging, his whole body tense. He started to growl, not a warning growl at a stranger, but a low, timid, fearful growl. He stared at the empty space, as if someone was standing there that we couldn't see. "Buddy, what's wrong?" Mark asked, looking in the direction Buddy was staring. "Is there a mouse?" Mark got up and checked the corner, moved the sofa, looked down at the floor. There was nothing. The space was completely empty. But Buddy continued to growl, even taking a step back, his face full of fear. From then on, these behaviors occurred more frequently. Buddy started barking at empty spaces, barking at blank walls or corners that were completely normal. His barking didn't sound like normal barking. It carried a tone of panic and fear. He would stand still, staring intently at a spot in the house, then suddenly bark fiercely, his hackles raised, his face full of terror. We were worried about Buddy. He had never been that afraid before. Mark and I tried to figure out what was happening. Maybe he was sick? Or maybe there was something in the house we couldn't see, like a large insect or rodents hiding somewhere? Buddy's strange behavior became more frequent and intense, and we couldn't explain it with normal reasons anymore. He was clearly reacting to something invisible. Buddy spent hours each day just staring at empty spaces. Sometimes, he would lie quietly on the floor, but his eyes would constantly track something moving in the room that we couldn't see. His gaze was full of concentration and fear, as if he was seeing an object or creature moving right in front of him. There were certain areas in the house that Buddy was particularly afraid of. The living room near the fireplace, the main hallway leading to the front door, and the bottom of the stairs. He would avoid these areas, even refusing to go through them unless we went with him. If we tried to lead him closer to those spots when he was scared, he would shrink back, whimper, and try to pull us away. Lily, our young daughter, also started noticing Buddy's change and became scared because of his reaction. She would look at Buddy barking or growling at empty space and ask, her voice full of worry, "What's Buddy scared of, Mommy? Is someone there?" This increased our own fear, as we didn't want our daughter to be affected by this abnormality. We took Buddy to the vet. After a thorough examination, the vet said Buddy was physically perfectly fine. He suggested that perhaps the dog was stressed from the move or could hear ultrasonic sounds that humans couldn't. This explanation reassured us a little, but the fear remained. Buddy's persistent, terrified reaction to emptiness was deeply unsettling. It made us feel unsafe in our own home. When Buddy was barking or growling at an empty space, we felt a sudden wave of cold air radiating from that area. This cold wasn't like cold air from the air conditioner. It was biting cold and carried a heavy, gloomy feeling. That was the first time we felt the presence of the thing that Buddy was seeing. Buddy's behavior became increasingly extreme, showing that his fear had reached its peak. He was no longer just barking or growling. He started shrinking back, trembling uncontrollably when the presence was strong. He would run away, trying to hide under tables, behind sofas, or even in our closets. He would often stare up at the ceiling, barking fiercely, as if something was standing or moving up there. This made us feel extremely uncomfortable being in the house, always feeling as if someone was looking down at us from above. The haunting seemed to be reacting to Buddy's presence. Some nights, when Buddy was barking violently at a corner of the room, we heard other small noises accompanying it, a very faint rustling, a light click-clack, or a sound like someone moving objects quietly. These sounds came from the area Buddy was reacting to. Adding to the creepiness of the situation, we started researching the history of the house more seriously. What had happened here before we moved in? Had anyone died in this house? We searched for information about previous owners, tragedies, or unusual events that had occurred. And then, we found the story. An elderly woman, the last owner of the house before the family sold it to us, had passed away in this house. She lived alone and died unexpectedly. Found a few days later in the living room, where Buddy often reacted fearfully to empty space. Her death was not violent, but lonely and sudden. Knowing the story of the woman who died in our house, right in the living room, where Buddy frequently barked and growled at empty space, made everything terrifyingly clear. Her spirit was likely still trapped here, bound to the place where she took her last breath. And Buddy, with his sensitivity, had seen her. Knowing the truth about the woman who died raised our fear to its peak. Now, when Buddy barked at empty space, we no longer thought of mice or strange noises. We knew who the dog was seeing. The nights that followed were a true nightmare. Buddy was almost constantly in a state of extreme fear when in the house. He would stare intently at a fixed point, his eyes wide with terror, his body trembling, a growl rumbling in his throat. Then, suddenly, he would bark frantically, jump back, or run away, as if something had just lunged at him. When Buddy reacted violently like that, we also felt the presence strongly. The biting cold radiating from the empty space Buddy was reacting to. Cold to the bone, the pressure in the air became heavy, as if someone was standing right there. Sometimes, we caught a glimpse of a shadow flitting across our peripheral vision when Buddy was barking, or a very slight distortion in the air. Once, Buddy was barking frantically at a corner of the living room, as if facing something very scary. Then, the dog suddenly whimpered, stepped back, and stumbled as if shoved by something invisible. Buddy fell to the floor, whimpering in utter terror. We rushed to him, trying to comfort him, but Buddy still trembled, his eyes fixed on that terrifying empty space. We knew that the spirit of that woman was no longer just passively there. Buddy's constant reaction to her, our research into her death, had perhaps made her more aware of our presence. And she was not pleased. She was trying to scare us away. Or worse, she was angry at being disturbed. And she was taking out her anger on Buddy, the only creature who could see her clearly. The thought of an angry spirit lurking in our house, attacking our pet because he could see her, was utterly horrifying. Buddy's terrified eyes had become a window for us to see into a world we never wanted to see. A ghostly world existing right inside our own home. We couldn't live in that house for another day after what had happened. The fear for ourselves and for Buddy was too great. We decided to leave immediately. Abandoning the house and everything inside it, we moved to a different place, starting life over. Buddy needed a long time to recover from that horrifying experience. He is still easily startled, sometimes still stares at empty spaces with a fearful expression, and is still afraid to be left alone in a room. What he saw has left permanent scars on his mind. We know that the house in Fairfax, although it looked normal from the outside, is still haunted. The spirit of the woman who died alone is still there, trapped in that space, and perhaps, still waiting for new owners, who might not have a sensitive four-legged friend to warn them about the ghostly presence sharing their living space. This story is true. It is what our family experienced when Buddy saw what we couldn't. It taught us that animals can be far more sensitive than humans to the supernatural world. And sometimes, the innocent eyes of a pet are a window to horrors we never want to face. If the story of the dog seeing a ghost sent chills down your spine, if you believe in true horror, spirits trapped in houses, and the ability of animals to see them, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for the next videos. There are many other horrifying secrets waiting to be told.